Hello, and welcome to the Knitting Traditions podcast. My name is Inga, and this is my little corner on the internet where I talk about my knitting. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I hope you enjoy this next episode, and if you're new here, this is a little corner on the internet where I talk about what I've been knitting on and sometimes acquisitions. Usually there's some acquisitions. You can also find me on Instagram as Knittingtraditions. I do have a Ravelry, but I'm never on there. Time just doesn't... There's just not enough time for everything that I want to do. I work in Norway. That's where I live in Norway, on the west coast. I work as a doctor, training to be a specialist in obstetrics and gynecology. I live in Førde, which is a small city surrounded by 7 mountains. Really lucky to have this gorgeous nature here. Heavily knit required weather. It's Wednesday morning, it's raining. It's been raining for 3 months. It's been the worst summer in over 20 years. The rest of Europe and the US has probably taken all the heat, and there's nothing left for us. Just the humidity reaching our mountains and coming down as rain. So enough bitterness about the weather. At least I get to wear my knits. Today I am wearing the Brise top by, I think her actual name is Pia Trends, but she's 50fabuloud on Instagram and on YouTube. She has a lovely podcast as well. She's Danish, but I think she lives in Italy. It's a very beautiful yoke design. I knit this up in Lina by Sandnes garn. It's like a DK plant-based yarn. Cotton, linen, viscose blend. It's beautiful. This is like a mint color that I had. I knit this last year, and I love it. It's really nice. And actually my friend who visited from London, she knit this as well, and it turned out beautifully. Okay, what can we talk about? Let's get into our knitting. But first, I just woke up and my head is heavy, so I think I need some coffee. If you need something, coffee, beverage, something, whatever, please sit down and enjoy whatever you can get your hands on. Mine is probably way too hot, but I am drinking it from this beautiful handmade ceramic mug that I got in Kaş in Turkey. It's the size of my face, which is amazing. Yeah, still too hot. We'll survive. Also, for everyone who asks, I just like to wear rings. They're not engagement rings. If I ever do want to get engaged or do get engaged, I will let you know. Okay. We happy. We got lots to show. I have 2 finished objects since last time. The first one you have seen me working on in the previous episode. This is the colorfield towel by Purl Soho. It's a free pattern that uses linen stitch, so it incorporates 2 colors. I used a greenish beige together with a black yarn. These are, let's hold it up the right way. These are the 2 colors that I used. I bought this yarn in Turkey. It's 100% cotton, sort of a DK weight. It's 115 meters per 50 grams. Organic baby cotton by Gazal and GOTS and Ecotech certified yarn. And I didn't follow the pattern exactly. This towel is supposed to have 150 stitches. I only did 115 because I want to use it as a towel in the kitchen and it doesn't need to be wider than this. I used a 3.75 millimeter needle. Because I used thicker yarn, I probably could have gone up to a 4.5 millimeter needle if I wanted to make an actual like towel for the bathroom. This is quite dense. You can't really see through it at all. The backside, I like the backside too. I was thinking when I was knitting this up that it would make a really nice pillow. So if you knit it wide enough for a pillow, you could just wrap it around and then sew the edges together and the bottom together. I think this would make a really nice pillow. However, it does take quite a lot of time to knit linen stitch because you're slipping every stitch. I did say in the previous episode a few tips about how I managed to knit those 8 repeat rows without having to look at the pattern all the time. I made like little rules for myself. So that wasn't a problem. It just takes a lot of time to knit. Then again, if I were to have bigger needles, it'll go a little bit faster. I think this yarn would be really good for a pillow. It's a nice cotton yarn, and I've been knitting on this while on the beach, full of sun lotion. There's been sweats because people do that. It's been through a lot, and still there's not really any pilling. It's holding itself up nicely. So good quality yarn. I like it. So it would make a really nice pillow as well. I have been contemplating also casting on another using the black yarn as the main color and this as a contrast. In the Purl Soho pattern, I think one of them had this to start and then they knit this so far or so, and then the rest was in the main color. I just did a symmetrical kind of thing where I had the same on the sides, so I basically kept going until I'd used up almost all of the black yarn. I have this much left. It's actually quite a bit left, but it was long enough and I didn't want to keep going just to use up this little scrap, because again, if I make another, I'll just use it for that one. So for this one, it used almost, let's say 2.5 of the base color and 3/4 of the contrast color. So yeah, really happy with this one. Now that I've shown it to you, I can put it in the kitchen. Yeah, so there's that one. I'll put the yarn away as well. It's always a mess in here after I record podcasts. Anyways, so I have another to show you. Of course I didn't bring the ball band, but this was the Lanoso yarn that I also bought in Turkey. It's a linen and viscose blend, 50-50 linen and viscose. The tag was in Turkish and Russian, so lovely viewers helped me out that keten means linen, and that was the Turkish word for linen. And yeah, so this is a 50% linen and 50% viscose blend. And I got this yarn because I really don't like purples, certain purples, but I do like a lilac, a lavendery lilac-y color. And honestly, I needed a bit of happiness surrounding me, seeing as the weather is so gray and gloomy. So I cast on a happy color, and I cast on the Look at My Holes by James N. Watts with a few modifications after watching Kat from Heather and Hops. She has done several versions, and she's done them without the ribbed neckline, sleeves and stuff. And she also did one, I think it was a black one, where she said she used a picker needle and a looser gauge and a bigger size to get it like an oversized one. And that's kind of what I wanted to go for, because with my wardrobe, I don't know if I would just wear a Look at My Holes as a top it would be something to throw over something else. So I wanted a big, loose, oversized sort of thing. So I cast on, I want to say I cast on the size large with a 7mm needle instead of a 5.5 as in the pattern. I didn't gauge swatch because I didn't want to, and I wouldn't do it again. Now this is a gauge swatch for future reference. I haven't even measured how many stitches I have on here, and I haven't washed it. I am assuming that it will grow when I wash it because it's such a loosey thing. I don't know. If it grows, that's fine because it's actually not huge. It could have been a lot bigger and it would still be fine, but it's still big enough. So I didn't do the rib neckline, so I just cast on the number of stitches that it said you should have after the neckline, and then I just started doing the pattern. And I figured if the neckline is too loose, I can just pick up stitches and do the neckline. I have more yarn. This is my second ball. I think I have 3 of these, and this is my second. So I have one left plus this little bit here, so I could easily do a neckline if I want to. And for the sleeves, I did one hole. Like a repeat has 2 holes, and I just did one, so half a repeat for the sleeve because I found with the deep raglan it was deep enough. For the body, I did several repeats. I think in the pattern there's just 2 holes, so 1 repeat, and I kept going for, I don't know, until I was happy. I could have kept going, but the stitch itself is not hard. This is not hard to make. It's a combination of a certain special way of knitting together and yarn overs. I'm just gonna sit like this for Is it weird to show this on top of another knit? Probably. But yeah, so it's like loose. It'll be nice to throw over knitted bralettes, which I am currently working on, and it would be nice to throw over like a bikini, maybe like a white colored summer dress. That's what I'm envisioning this for. I do want to make a black one, and I think a black one I would use a lot more with like throwing over a top and black jeans. Kind of feel a little bit cool. Well, this is more cute. Yeah. I don't know what happened, but as I was knitting on this, my stitch count was all off. I had one amount of stitches on one sleeve, a different count on the second sleeve, and the same for the front and the back. It was all off, and I don't know how that happened. Maybe I forgot to knit into a stitch that I was supposed to knit into, or I forgot to do a raglan increase or something. I don't know. I just fudged it. So for a few rounds where I was supposed to increase on one sleeve, where there was too many stitches compared to the other, I just didn't do the increases, and I did increases on where I had too few, and I kind of did that for a few rounds until the amount of stitches was correct. And yeah, it worked out okay. I don't think you can see on like the patterning that I did something wrong. You could look at the raglan and see that in the end it looks a bit different, but who cares? Look at my holes. Yeah, no, really happy with this. And the yarn feels really nice knit up. It doesn't feel stiff at all. It feels really nice and smooth, and being linen, I think it will soften up nicely with washing. But the stitches for me were a bit hard on my hands because of the yarn overs. It was sometimes hard to get the stitches back on the needle because it kind of tightened itself up. So it wasn't like super pleasurable. So I kind of powered through this one because I wanted the finished garment, and I was a little bit afraid that if I put it down and went back to my stockinette knitting, which is very comforting to me, that this would be laying there for a while before I would pick it up again. So now I've done it, I've finished it. If I do knit another one, maybe I won't power through the same way, I'll take my time. But I just really wanted this happy garment to give me a little bit of brightness when the weather doesn't give me any brightness. So yeah, Look at My Holes by James N. Watts. Finished. And I've heard that people have used like one skein of hand-dyed yarn for this project, and it's been plenty. What's her name? Oh, I'm so sorry. Pearl Jade, lovely podcast from New Zealand. You should check her out. She's giving me all the vibes and lots of inspiration. She's making this in a like a speckled hand-dyed yarn, and it's turning out beautiful. And she's planning on making a mohair version, which is gonna be amazing, making me want to do the same. Alright, more whips. So, after recording the last episode, I put a little bit more work into this. This is the Jules sweater by Sandnes garn. I bought a book from them with patterns called Myk til Dame, and all the patterns in there are just gorgeous. Their size range is not great, but I have the book, and I feel like since I've spent money on the book, I want to knit the patterns, and I rarely buy books, so I bought it for one pattern in particular, but I've knitted several now, and this is the Jules sweater, which is a top-down like textured yoke, as you can see here, and it's knit in one strand of silk mohair. Their yarn is tynn silk mohair, I believe they just call it tynn silk mohair. It's this one, and it's one of those silk mohairs that has 212 meters per 25 grams, so you can get lots of different types of silk mohair with the same thickness. And this is the color 2727. I have 6 balls of this, and that's what it says I need to have for my size, which I think is like a medium, a small, medium, or medium, whatever that one is. And I finished the body since last time. So it has a twisted rib, and I have started the first sleeve, and I'm knitting it on those small circular needles. These are 30 centimeters, I think, from tip to tip, if I'm not mistaken. They're like a 12-inch, not a 9-inch or like 11-inch. They're just a little bit longer and a bit more pleasant in the hands to knit with for me. And I bought them either from Adi or Sandnes garn. They both carry them. So yeah, one sleeve to go, and the other, this one has not been touched in the past few days just because I was knitting on the Look at My Holes and something else. But yeah, no rush with this. It's gonna be beautiful when it's done. Just the sleeves left, so this will be like nice knitting to bring along if I need something simple. I still have 2 balls left plus this, so even though it said I needed 6 balls, probably gonna get away with breaking into the 5th ball. So yeah, that's one whip. Now we can have some coffee, I think, I hope. Still hot. Okay, I have another bag I have another bag. This is the Jezebel bag that I bought in the spring, winter. And inside it I have a whip that has not gotten a lot of love. This is the Ribba tea. Is that it? Ribba tea? And yeah, I've split for the sleeves on this, and I've knit a bit on the body. Haven't really gotten a lot done since the last time I showed it before I went on holidays. But I'm knitting it in a very beautiful yarn, the Papyrus from Fibra Natura. I love this yarn. It's a silk and cotton blend, and it's just beautiful. So this will be really nice when it's done. I think it's gonna be nice to see. But yeah, this one as well hasn't gotten a lot of love, but again, it's one of those knits that aren't really any difficult. It's like a ribbed construction, just that some rows is a bit different or simpler, like stockinette-ish. That probably has a name, broken rib. But yeah, this one as well, one of those simple knits that I can knit on without too much to brain power having to be involved. So put this next to the other one for one of those grab and go knits. I have more grab and go knits. I have my half and half wrap. Last time I had finished the first triangle in the turmeric colorway, and I am knitting, this is the free pattern by Purl Soho, the half and half triangles wrap, I think is what it's called. I always get confused with simple names. I have done the first triangle in the turmeric. I have done the last 3 stitches as an I-cord edging, which basically means that when you reach the last 3 stitches, you put the yarn to the front and you just slip the last 3 stitches purl wise, I think, yeah. And then you turn your work and you just knit, and that kind of wraps it around and you get a nice little I-cord edging, which I think is really beautiful. Instead of doing wrap and turns, I've done German short rows, and once I finish the yellow triangle, I knit across with contrast, or the second color, which is oatmeal gray. And this is how far I have gotten with the second color. I did not do the small or the large size. I did 20 stitches less than the large size, so I have done 240 stitches. It's a very simple garter knit, so if I feel like it's too small, this is one square of it. If I feel like it's too small, I'll just block it, because garter is very stretchy, so it's not a problem. I want to make more. I said this when I made the first one, that I want to make more. I'm now making my second one. I still want to make more. It's just a very simple, comforting knit, but the result is beautiful. I love to see how the 2 triangles form and how they play together. It's not like I need 20 shawls, but I really do think they would make nice gifts for baby blankets. Yeah, and I think the one that I have, I've used it a lot in the past years, a lap blanket and a schlanket and a shawl when it's really cold. I'm using it now in the summer because we have 10 degrees and rain. It's gotten a lot of wear and it's holding up really nicely, so I want to make more. And I'm knitting it in the recommended yarn in the pattern, which is the linen quill, which is a beautiful yarn. I have some more colorways and I want to get even more. I just want all the yarn, but I can't really afford it because my car broke down, and now we need to buy a car and we can't really afford it. So we need to take up more loans, which means I don't get to buy as many yarns as I would like to. I need to restrain myself. If you want to help me, please like this video. That does give me a little bit of money from some algorithm, so I can buy yarn to show you. But yeah, I definitely have a substantial stash to knit from. That's kind of how I like to knit. I go into my stash and pick a yarn, and then I find a project, and that gives me a lot of inspiration and a feeling of endless opportunities. Anywho, knitting. I have more. Maybe we can start with the next one I've also been knitting on. Yeah. So I've put in a bit of progress on my Cumulus tee that I am knitting with the yarn Bambino from Viking yarn. I got an end sticking out. So, I mean, it doesn't look like a lot, but it is a lot of knitting because I'm knitting this on 2.75 millimeter needles. So it's not the biggest suckers. They're quite tiny and it's quite time consuming. Now I'm just knitting in the round and I am loving it. I think the last time we spoke I was not even here, probably up here somewhere. So it's quite a bit of knitting. I am making this one longer than the two previous one I made. I made a white one and a beige one. I'm making this longer. This is also not see-through in the same way that the others were. It's much denser, much more silky smooth. This feels so nice. It's a 50% bamboo and 50% cotton blend, and I think I have one. It's the first time I've used this yarn. It's Viking Bambino. This is a Norwegian commercial yarn. It's like $4. Yeah, it's very cheap. I think for the quality, I'm very surprised by it. It's so soft. Even after I had to wash this whip because I got bird's nests on it, it's still so soft. Like, you can't really say that it's hardened up at all. And yeah, it doesn't really look like it's pilling. The color is beautiful, and I'm gonna get this t-shirt out of 4 balls. It's like $16 for a very nice knitted top, and I want to make more. I made the medium size in this. I didn't swatch. I think maybe this gauge is a bit tighter than the other two I made. I'm also using 2.75 millimeter needles instead of a 3 millimeter needle. I really like how it's looking. I don't think I'll do an I-cord for the edge for this one either, just because I like how it looks. I am contemplating doing German short rows on the bottom to make a curved front and a curved back, but I'm not sure. I don't have a pattern for that. I would have to make that up as I go, and to get the right proportions, to get like the right amount of bow. Maybe I'll just do like a gentle one. We'll see. I think what I would do, because you can do German short rows in 2 ways. You can either knit past the German short row and resolve it, so you knit longer every time, sort of like this, and then all the German short rows will. So if I do that at the bottom, then the German short rows will be resolved in the fabric, going like this kind of. Or you can start at the edge and then go closer every time, and then like this, and then the German short rows then at the bottom will align with the edging, and when you resolve it, it'll be less visible. It's kind of the opposite at the top. So I might have a little think about how to do it the best way for the curve that I like. I just think it would be nice. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I think the yarn is beautiful. I did have to restrain myself at the knitting store. I went with a friend. I didn't buy anything. I really did want to buy 4 balls of this in a black color and in a rust color to make 2 more. But then again, it's taken me quite a while to knit this, and I think I'll finish it, wear it, And if I wear it a lot, then I'll get the yarn to make more. But I do have other whips that I'm knitting on currently, so maybe I'll work a bit on those as well. Okay. So this whip I've cast on since the last time we spoke, and this was a whip that I had planned to bring to Turkey with me for the summer because it was a small knit. I'm knitting it on 3mm needles, and I am using the Knitting for Olive. Can you see the label? Probably not very well. It's the compatible cashmere in the color Nordic Beach, and it's 187 meters for 25 grams. And what I've cast on, which is hard to see, is the simple bralette by Naked Knit. Naked Knit has several beautiful, simple looking bralette patterns. This is the 2 front bra thingies, and on the back this one also has 2 smaller things, and you do provisional cast on and you're gonna make straps. I never do provisional cast on. I always do the old Norwegian or the German twisted cast on, but I figured since it was only for a few stitches I would give it a go, so I watched the link in the pattern and I did provisional cast on. I also learned to do a different kind of right and left lifted increase, which is different from the ones that I've always used. I just followed the pattern. And this pattern, the reason I didn't bring it to Turkey partly was because it recommended to open an Excel sheet on your computer, download it, and put in your measurements to get like a perfect fit for your body, because bust and waist circumference are not usually standardized for most women. So at the time I just had my phone and I was too lazy to find a computer to do that, so I didn't. But now I've done it, and apparently my boobs are a large, while my like under boob chest is a extra small. So I'm glad I did that. Hopefully this will be a bralette that will fit. It's not gonna have any support. Like, look at this fabric, it's like super thin and stretchy. There will be no support in this, but it'll be coverage. And how cute would this look with the look at my holes over it? I think it would be really nice. I love wearing this kind of stuff, or sport bras, or just anything that doesn't have wires in them, especially when I go to my shifts that are 24 hours, because we can lie down and sleep if it's quiet, which is not always, but the possibility is there. And usually then I just lie down fully dressed so I can jump up again. So it's nice to have something underneath that doesn't have metal wires and it's just comfortable. So if this turns out to fit all right, I will be making more. I'm making this in cashmere. Cashmere is expensive, so I might make more in the future using yarn like Woolly Knit British wool, because that's also like a thinner yarn and I think it would look really nice. Speaking of, we're doing a knit along, a pair up with Woolly Knit and Knitting Traditions. It's starting in September, so more on that in the next episode probably, but it's going to be a celebration of British wool. So if you have any British wool from Woolly Knit or someone else, then get that ready, because we're going to do like a 2-month long knit along using some sort of British wool. And there's going to be prizes. I am planning on probably knitting a sweater and maybe an accessory, maybe another half and half wrap. We'll see. I've been like thinking a little bit in my mind, but we'll see. They're sponsoring some yarn for me as well as prizes for the winner, so I'm waiting for that to arrive, and then I'll start to plan and let you know in a future episode, but you can have that in mind. So yeah, the simple bralette by Naked Knit. I'm just knitting in the round now, and there's going to be a ribbed section. I'm not sure how long I'll make the ribbed section, if I'll make it more like a top than a bralette, just to, in case it'll like ride up. It does recommend using an elastic, so maybe I will either knit that in or sew that in. I haven't decided. And my last whip. Yeah, it's a whip heavy episode. So this whip I've been waiting on for a couple of weeks. Xola Yarns is a Spanish-based indie dyer. It's not like speckled indie dyer. It's more like rustic, solid, earthy tones indie dyer. Xola Yarns contacted me, and she asked me if I would be interested in testing her yarn for a test knit of hers. So I don't know how to pronounce the name of this pattern. It's not secret, so I can show it. I think it's Pinasa sweater. I'll write it here. But it's a beautiful design, and I usually don't really do test knits, but I fell in love with her sweater and I really wanted to try her yarn, so I said I'd be honored to try it. So last night I cast on and right now it's all scrunched up on a needle that is too small. But this is the beginnings of a woolly colorwork sweater. And I struggled a bit with gauge. I knit continental, she knits English style, and I struggle with getting a tight enough gauge. The gauge is 26 stitches on a 3mm needle, and I think I got like 22 stitches, and then I went down to a 2.25 and I got 24 stitches, but then I felt like I just tried to knit tighter when I cast on and it got a bit better. She told me I could just go down a size, so I think right now I am knitting the size 3 and I'm using 2.5 and 275mm needles. I'm eating yarn fibers, and I think it's holding up nicely. It's a little bit closer to gauge than I was. This is intended to be an oversized sweater, so that is the look that I'm going for. I want a big, warm colorwork sweater. I don't like it when my colorwork sweaters are too tight and constricting, so hopefully this will turn out the right size. I'm trying to knit more tightly, but my colorwork has never really been very tight, so it almost looks like my colorwork is looser than my stockinette, so I might on the next increase row go down a quarter of a needle size, just so that I don't feel like I have to knit so tightly, and I think that will be nice. And then when you block it, I don't have to aggressively block it since my colorwork isn't cinched in very much at all. And it's just it's a beautiful, this is the back, that's why it looks like that. It's a very beautiful colorwork yoke. You should check her out. And the yarn that I'm using, so I've only caked up the 2 that I've started with because I wanted to show you how beautiful the skeins were. So this yarn was gifted to me from Xola Yarns, and this is the Pastoretta base of hers. So I'm using the same colors as she has in her sample because I just thought it was so beautiful, so I wanted to copy her. So this is the Pastoretta, and the color is Molsa and Fum. And this yarn from Xola, and Xola is spelled with an X, by the way, Xolla. let's see, they had some really nice information on it. So it's a 2-ply yarn, 50 grams is 195 meters, so it's basically a fingering weight, although I feel like when I'm knitting with it, it's like slightly thicker. I would say more like a sport weight because it's so airy. And this is 100% wool, but it's a special kind of wool, so it's a non-superwash and a specific breed fingering weight yarn, which is made from the Ribba wool, which is an endangered sheep breed from the northeast of Spain, and it's made locally in small family produced mills, and then it's sourced and produced in Spain as well. So this is a really nice, very rustic feeling yarn. But when I washed the sample, it did soften up quite a lot, and I just washed this in the sink. I was recommended by her to leave it overnight to soak, and that's what I'm gonna do when I've finished the sweater, and it's gonna be so nice and so warm. Because it is a denser gauge, it's gonna be a really nice weather to wear as just without a jacket in the fall, and a really nice warming piece in the winter. So it's going to be dense but thin, so you can use it for layering, which is great. So I'm really looking forward to having this in my wardrobe for the winter. And I'm going to pick up a neckline for this. In this pattern, you do that at the end. Usually I do the neckline first, so that this was new to me, or it's not, I've done this before, it's not new, but it's just not the most common construction to me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. It looks nice without it as well. It's a wider neckline, but yeah, I'm gonna do as instructed and put the neckline in here. I think I might do it before the end, just so that I'm sure I have enough yarn, since my gauge is not spot on. So I might do the neckline and the sleeves first, just to make sure that those are long enough, and then just knit the body until I run out of yarn, because I have 6 skeins of this, so that is 300 grams, and then I have 2 of the contrast, which is 100 grams. So yeah, really enjoying this knit. My head hurts a bit because I was sitting up until 2 in the morning knitting on this, because it was just addicting. You just had to knit one more row, just one more row. Okay, so yes, that is all my webs. No, it's not. I am lying. Where is that web? 1 second. I lie. I have another web. So we went to a festival 2 weeks ago, and there was a yarn store, and in that yarn store they had some yarn from the Faroe Islands, and I've always really wanted to go both to Iceland and the Faroe Islands to get wool. So when I saw this yarn in the store, this is the Navia Fipa, which is a yarn from the Faroe Islands. It's the color royal blue. It's 73% mohair, 22% wool, and 5% nylon. They didn't have a lot of colors. I was contemplating getting the black, but I do have black mohair waiting for me in my stash, and this was just so happy. Again, not a blue person. I like my mints and I like my royal blues. I have a sweater already that I have knit in a royal blue, but it's a turtleneck and it's quite tight on the neck, and it's actually it's not super itchy, but it's itchy enough that I don't want to put it on. I'd rather put on other things, but I do really like the royal blue color. She only had 4 balls of this, but I really wanted to try and make something, and she had a sample in her store from it's a free pattern in Norwegian. It's called min mote genser, which has like puffed sleeves and neck, It's really a very simple sweater, so you could probably try and Google translate it. If you Google min mote genser, it's like commercials in between the pattern though, so it was a bit annoying. But I decided to get the 4 balls of this and 2 balls of it in white, because I figured I could do those puff things with white instead of blue. So I am knitting the medium. It looks tiny though, I did not swatch. It's on 10mm needles. It's 40 stitches for the front and back, and then you knit the ribbing for a certain length, and then in the back you knit 5 rows of stockinette, and then you knit the ribbing in the front, and it tells you to knit 2 rows of stockinette. I didn't do that. And then you join and knit in the round for so and so, and then you split and you knit the front and back separately with some decreases for the armhole. And then in the front you also do some decreases in the front to make like a bowed or round neck. And then you pick up stitches on the side and you knit 14 rows of ribbing, then 1 row of purl, and then 5 rows of ribbing, and then you kind of fold it in on itself twice and sew the purl row down, and it creates these rounded edgings. And now what is left to do is to make a ribbed neckline and the sleeves. So that is what's on my to-do list. I paired this with a silk mohair. Probably wasn't necessary, but I was knitting this on 10mm needles and I was a bit worried of it being very see-through. And also I figured if I paired it with this, maybe I would get a little bit further with the 4 balls. Yeah, I don't know. The white one, I just paired it with an almost white silk mohair that I had in my stash as a single skein that I had no idea what to use for, so now it's being used for this. I think I'll do the sleeves first, and because I could do white for the neckline, I could also do white for the cuffs, so if I run out of blue I could always do that. It's not huge. It'll fit. It's super stretchy, like no problem. But yeah, it's not huge. And again, I haven't done measure my gauge, so it might just be me. But yeah, it'll fit. And it'll be like a fun little statement piece. Min mote means my fashion, so it's very fashionable apparently. But yeah, no, it's just fun. A little bit of artistic expression in a sweater. It's gonna be very warm because it's like a thick mohair sweater. Sorry about the crinkles. Let's put it away. Put it all away and have a sip of coffee. Now it's perfect. Alright, so those were all my whips, but I do have some acquisitions to show you. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If the acquisitions part is not your cup of tea, I will see you next time. But a thumbs up always really helps, and if people watch through the commercials, that also really helps. And then I can get more acquisitions in the future. If not, I'll just work extra shifts to feed my obsession with yarn. Which is what I'll do anyways, if I'm honest with myself. Okay. I have bought some more yarn. So, this is one of my all-time favorite yarns. This is tynn from Hillesvåg. And they had this in the store where I bought the blue yarn. And the blue yarn was fun, but this color spoke to me. And I don't think I have this in my stash. If I do, that's fine. This is tynn from Hillesvåg, which is 100% Norwegian pelt wool. It's a DK kind of weight, 260 meters per 100 grams. And I've made several sweaters in this in the past. Sorry. And three skeins has been enough. But I kind of want to make it bigger because it has been a little bit tight on the arms, and it's cropped, so I got 4, so I can make it a little bit longer maybe, or just more boxy. I wear these sweaters all the time, all year around. They're great layering pieces. They're super warm. They get like a mohair halo because of the pelt wool, and I just thought it was so pretty, this color. This color is the color Dusty Light Lime. Yeah, I don't think I have this in my stash. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know when I'll knit this because I'm currently making the beautiful colorwork sweater in a rustic yarn. I have my mohair projects, I have my summer projects. So probably in the fall, maybe after the knit along with wool in it, because this isn't British wool, this is Norwegian wool. But I love all kinds of rustic wool. So this is the celebration of the Norwegian, this is the celebration of Spanish, and then soon there will be a celebration of British wool, which you can all participate in. There's something to be said about using natural fibers. We have so many beautiful animals roaming our countries with wool with great properties on their backs, and they need to be shed because if not they will get fly strike and parasites, and the wool needs to be cut, and it's a shame if the wool just goes to waste because it's too expensive to transport it to a mill or any place where it can be utilized. So supporting using wool for wool production or for fertilizers is just great. Like, you can take the waste parts of wool and put it in your garden as mulch, or put it into the soil to give I think it will give like nice source of nitrogen to the soil. Anyway, there's so many great things you can do with natural fibers, so let's celebrate it. As knitters, we definitely have our purpose for using it. I just choked on some fiber. Don't we all? Don't we all? Okay. I did get 2 needles when I was up there so that I could cast this on while at the festival, but my cousin wouldn't let me bring my knitting into the festival area, so I didn't get to cast on. But I did get these 2 needles. I have not used these before or really seen them. They are Japanese needles. Gepard Garn is actually the official distributor of these in the Nordic countries, but they're called Sea Knit. So I'm really excited to try these. I think they'll be fun. It was founded in 1916. Kinki Amibari is the manufacturer of Japan's finest bamboo knitting needles. Superior in flexibility, durability, lightness, and warmth to the touch. And this is the Koshitsu needles, because they have 2. They have Koshitsu and Shirotake. And Koshitsu is the umber brown color needles, polished with natural plant wax after high temperature and pressure treatment. So yeah, excited to try these. The lady in the store said they were her favorite, so she had also just gone to the Faroe Islands for 2 knitting retreats, I think, to learn Faroe Isle knitting, and she had bought 1 color of what are they? The Jameson and Smith right? Is it Jameson and Smith that are located on the Faroe Islands? Or is it Shetland? Oh, I'm so confused now. I confused myself. But she had gotten one color of each of them. So she had like a shelf of display. And I just wanted to buy them, but I couldn't because they were her yarn. She just had it as a display. But she was trying to get their yarn to her store to sell. So I hope for her sake that she can do that in the future because it would be really nice. And last acquisition is this month's Knitcrate yarn. I'm an affiliate member of Knitcrate, so if somebody uses my coupon code or the link, then I get some money from Knitcrate. Just have to inform everyone and be open about it. And every month they send me their monthly subscription box. You can do previews to see the colors, but you don't choose the color. It's sort of a surprise. And so far, I've done this for over a year now, and so far it's been all non-superwash, but like luxurious fibers, different alpaca, merino, camel, like yak, different kind of luxury fiber blends, and it's all been stunning. This month, beautiful color, like a subtle lavender, subtle lilac, almost it's very pale. It feels amazing, very squishy and soft, but this is actually part superwash. So this is 50% superwash merino and 50% tencel. It's a fingering weight, so it's 365 meters per 100 grams. And this is the color Vidalana Silhouette. So, not sure yet what to make with this, because I do find superwash yarns to grow quite a bit compared to my non-superwash, which I trust more. But there is a lot of yarn in here. It's like almost 800 meters, a bit more than 700 at least. So, I'm not sure. It would make a nice baby blanket to give to a friend who's pregnant, or it would make a nice top, but I would have to be a little bit careful then so it doesn't grow too much. It feels nice. It doesn't feel as superwashy. I call it superwashy, but a lot of superwash yarns have like a kind of touch to me. But this one, I think it's the tencel. Tencel is really, at least the yarns with tencel that I've touched are quite soft feeling. Some of my favorite t-shirts that are store-bought have tencel in them. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful yarn. So I'm really happy with the colorway of this one. It's the kind of lilac that I like. And yeah, I'm happy with it. There were also some other, I'll hold over the QR code. These were the other colorways that I could have gotten in this month's Knitcrate. So I'm really happy with this one. I was really happy with the last month's color as well, which was a rust colored yarn. And they usually send like a little bit of something extra in the box, and this month it was one of these bags, which feels waterproof. I think it's a waterproof bag. So this would be nice if it was sunny at the cabin and go paddling. This would be nice to bring a whip in, but it's not. So those were all of the whips and acquisitions and finished objects of this week's episode, or 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks since the last time I recorded. I hope to talk to you guys again soon. I'm going to be working a lot in the weeks coming up. So we'll see if I can squeeze in an episode after a shift or something. And definitely have to talk to you again before we start our knit along with British, like a celebration of British wool. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Yes. I'll put in some footage of a little bit of nature. There was like 1.5 day where it wasn't raining, so we took advantage, and I tried to take a little bit of footage that I'll include. And yeah, I hope that you are well. I hope that you get to knit or enjoy whichever crafty hobby you might be into, or if you just like to watch knitting podcasts, that's cool too. And I will see you soon, so bye.